I wanted to share an interesting story that happened to me, Chris, when Joe Biden had yet to drop out of the race for the 2024 campaign. I saw him at an event where there were a lot of Stand Up to Cancer supporters, and I was invited. And he did as he would do in all these different events, including like super casual events like the Irish event you talked about, where he had Irish politicians or politicians of Irish descent come to the White House. He used a teleprompter. He didn't answer any questions, but he saw me and I've known him for decades. And he said, I miss you. And I said, well, if you want to spend more time with me, why don't you do an interview with me? And we can make up for lost time. And he said, I'd love that. After he was done giving the short speech to funders, he leaned over to me again and said, I really want to do an interview with you. So then I approached his press people. They then told me to call, and I got the runaround like there was no tomorrow. I got relegated to some guy who was in charge of digital interviews because it was for online and a podcast. And I wrote Anita Dunn personally, and I was very much stonewalled. And now, reading your book, and obviously with the benefit of hindsight, I see why. And you write that he never did interviews with the New York Times or the Washington Post. Didn't he hold fewer press conferences than any president in history?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So, do you think the White House press corps and the media writ large should have been making more noise about this?
Well, first of all, you used the perfect word stonewalled when describing the Biden White House vis-a-vis the media. I really found it to be Nixonian. And its contempt is not too strong a word for the press, the White House press corps. If you dared to suggest that Biden's age was an issue, they went after you. If you dared to write an op-ed that suggested that everything wasn't perfect, they would close you down. And I think it came from Anita Dunn. I think this was her. I mean, I think she was a much more powerful figure in the Biden White House than we realized at the time. My guess, Katie, I mean, my hunch is that Biden would have done that sit down with you, and that Dunn and the communications team shut that down in a heartbeat and said, "No, you know, you will not be doing that." But that's the way this White House operated.